station, you're in the right place. Online, on the web, and on air. All over the world.
Good evening and welcome to the show. How are you all, everyone? Here we are on
Talk Radio.
Yes, definitely. So I hope you're all fine and dandy and everything. So I'm just going to get everything stopped now, ready for later. So have you had a good week? I'm all flustered now because he's talking about this, that and the other, and they're talking about cars and blah, 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 and I forgot to press the button as usual, so yes.
Even Charlotte said, what's going on?
I know. What is going on? Let's try that again, shall we?
No, don't you dare. Don't you dare. Right, let's say hello to everybody.
Right, hold on. Let me just get rid of this overlay that I put on earlier.
Yep.
Okay, and make sure the ticker's going.
We're not shortly, we are actually live.
We are live now, so...
oh, yes.
Good evening, everyone. So, let's see who's in the hub. Do you know who's in the hub, Steve?
I do.
Go on, then.
We have Doc Savage, all the way from Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
We have Andy, of Andy and Hannah.
Mm-hmm.
We have... we're way down. Here we go. We got the Ghost Rider, who's JW.
Who's changed it to Vicky C now because they're going to fight over the keyboard.
They're going to fight over the keyboard, aren't they?
Yes.
Okay. Green Lee's with us, of course. Simply Joe. Aggie.
Yeah.
And of course, if Green Lee's about, then Reiki Debs is definitely about.
Mm-hmm.
Sherlock is in.
So it's Hobbs 1974.
Yes. She's finished all the book listing for now.
And we have another Andy, I think. Have we? Or is that Andy's just changed the colour?
I think he's changed the colour, but he wants to change it again because that's very, very light.
So, it's good for me. I know that much.
well, that's because you've got a black background. We haven't.
So anyway.
And we've now got Anita in as well.
Hi, Anita. How are you? So if you see MN Pig 1, you know that's Anita and not Doc Savage. We've also got Dangerous Dan. Oh, I hate to think who that is. But, so... But hopefully everyone's all keeping the paranormal friendly because that's what it's all about. Please remember tonight we have our guest with us. We have Neil Munnerley. Good evening, Neil.
Hi, guys.
And also we have his partner in crime, Miss Leanne Nuttall, who's also part of UK Shadow Seekers. Okay, she's coming in the hub as well tonight. So she's here. She's there.
Yeah, we can see your hand there.
So anyway, just before we start tonight, although you have the right to reply to any of the comments that are put in the chat room, okay, or by our listener, our other listeners or our guests, we ask you to please be respectful to our guests and our listeners. We will not tolerate any profanity or disrespectfulness behaviour. Okay, so I thought I'd let you know about that. There is a disclaimer on the bottom of the page. Please refer to it. It says it is our intention to provide our listeners with different views and outlooks promoting discussion, although we assume no responsibility of the opinions and belief expressed by our guests, callers, listeners or chatters on the KTPF Community Show. The opinions expressed are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. Okay, so please remember that, and that also goes for the forum post as well. So please be careful what you're chatting. We did ban somebody recently for coming on and using profanities for no apparent reason. The guys in the chat room are monitoring it for us as well, so all they've got to do is just give me the red flag and let me know what's going on, including with the volume and everything. So you are our ears out there and our eyes when it comes to the chatting.
Yes, I do have a pad and pen with me, so please, if I miss a question, I haven't said it, please let me know, because it can move rather quickly on here sometimes.
Yeah,
it
definitely.
Disappears.
So
all the way up.
Okay. Do we have Andy 707 in?
I think that's Desperate Dan.
Or has he not turned up then? So, okay. Is Desperate Dan Andy from Shadow Seekers? Just let me know that. So, I'm not sure it is. We could have a very, as I said before, we could have a very packed chat room tonight because of our guest.
Tigger.
Yeah, Tigger. And also, if it does crash, we will still be recording, and we will try and get back to you as soon as possible. Also, if you have any problems, please refresh the page and get back to us, okay? Greenlee said he wished to ask Derek if he knows anything about the Nile crocodiles. Well, that person we had last week was a load of rubbish, wasn't he?
Excuse me, I did answer a few questions on it, you know.
Oh, I've lost my glasses. No, not a member of any group. Okay, Dan. So, anyway. So, how are you, Neil?
I'm fine.
How you been?
Fine.
Better than me, by the sounds of it. So, are you looking forward to this evening?
Well, it's only our Degsy, isn't it? So,
only our Degsy, as you call him. So,
Yeah, it's only Degsy.
It's only Degsy. All these Liverpudlians. So, you know. Was it actually Liverpool you were born, or was it in Birkenhead?
No, it was Liverpool I was born. Thank you very much.
Right,
this side of the water, the proper side, you know. Merseyside, as we call it.
Right, Merseyside.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. So, anyway.
Who's to say which is the Mersey side of the Mersey?
We say it.
We say it.
So
If you're in Birkenhead, you're Woollyback.
Time
You're
goes
you're
on
woolly
day
back.
after day.
End of. Lesson finished.
Hearts torn in every way.
Yeah. Oh, Tigger's in
Sorry,
now.
Joe.
Yeah, Tigger's in now.
Oh, is he?
Yep.
Good. That's all right then. Well, we've got 18 viewers. Let's crack on with the show. Okay. He said, I thought that was Welsh.
Well,
That's what Greenlee said.
well, Woollyback.
No, a Woollyback is somebody that lives in the hills or the countryside or talk funny. Like you Mancunians up here.
I see.
You're all Woollyback.
Well, I'm not a Mancunian, so I'm all right. Now, when it comes
And
to...
excuse me, you can't call us Mancunians Woollyback anyway, because we're in the valley. We're not up in the hills. Hills are all round us.
Well, we live on the flat, you know. We live on the coast.
In Plains Indians.
No. Enclosed.
Sue.
Steve said, Andy said, cheers. That's B19AJN. Cheers, Steve. I think that nickname's going to stick now.
You can guarantee it's going to stick.
Right, well, anyway, let's get on with the show. Okay, as we said before, we've got Neil and Leanne in the hub. And I'm sure you'll hear Leanne through the night.
No doubt.
No doubt. Oh, domestic coming on here. So if my mobile rings, I may have to shoot off because I'm waiting for a call from the police. So, but I won't. We'll be back. On the phone later on, we have Derek Acorah. We are very privileged to talk to one of the UK's most well-known mediums. Okay, and as I said before, we do need you to be pleasant in your questions, and any questions that I may find not very nice,
Yeah,
I may not ask him.
I reserve the right to change the question slightly.
Yes, that's the word we're looking for. So, okay, and please beware because his wife or himself may be looking at the chat room as well. So, okay, as with some of our guests, they do pop into the chat room as well.
Gwen.
Okay.
Lovely Gwen.
So, anyway, I better make sure I've got my diary ready so I can ring him. Okay, so, that's good. So I've got that in a bit. We'll be ringing him up about 8:30. Please excuse my chair. It's on a squeak. It's definitely my chair. So, sorry, what are you looking for? No book?
I've got one.
There's one downstairs. Hang on for a minute. Let's see if I can
I don't
get
know how
one
much
here.
paper in it. But
Have you got one there?
she'll need a pen though, see.
For God's sake! A pen! A pen! My kingdom for a pen. Here. Right. I'll have you reading out the observations in a minute. Do you want to do that? All right, okay. Well, that's where I'm going to go now anyway, so get the show on the road. So, chaos in the building today, because I think we're all excited about the special. I know he is about his old Degsy.
I'm not excited.
Right, well,
Like
anyway.
I say, it's only Degsy. What's the big thing?
I know somebody in the
somebody
hub,
is in the hub.
in the chat
chat
room.
yeah.
Yes, Vicky. Woo, yeah. So, watch her, John. Keep an eye on her. Restrain her. Simply Joe said, I request you throw Lee out of the chat room. I don't know. Right, are we ready? Here we go. The observations this week. For most people, the Amityville Horror was just a movie that scared audiences when it opened in 1979. But what was it? But what was it like living in the home? In the home that had inspired the hit horror flick. What's up with me tonight? A new documentary entitled My Amityville Horror, which opens in select theatres and goes on demand this Friday in America, tells the story of Danny Lutz, who moved into the house at 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York in 1975. The house, with its quarter moon windows, which has since been replaced, that suggests the foreboding eyes of some demonic entity, first gained notoriety on November the 13th, 1974, when Ronald DeFay Jr., then 23, murdered his parents, two brothers and two sisters in their beds. Ronald Jr., nicknamed Butch, was arrested for the hideous crimes, and the house went up for sale. I believe there is such a thing as evil, and I was victim of that. Lutz says in the film of his days-long stay in the house a year later. Now, when George and Kathy Lutz moved into the home with their 3 children from Kathy's previous marriage, it's brought the place called High Hopes for a steal at £80,000, though they stayed for only 28 days. Apparently, with that, whatever evil force inspired young Butch to take the shotgun to his kin was still lurking about in the house, purportedly causing furniture to move by itself, glowing red eyes to appear in the window, and some disembodied voices to claim, "Get out." Okay. But Lutz, now 47 and working as a stonemason in Queens, maintained that there was something going on in the house. He describes, with no trace of uncertainty, being spiritually and emotionally abused by phantoms during his 4-week residence at High Hopes. He also describes witnessing his stepfather, George, apparently the number one target of the presence, moving objects with his mind, practicing telekinesis in the garage. Director Eric Walters says he wanted My Amityville Horror to show the lingering psychological impact of the event on one of its witnesses, or is it participants. For me, that's the real story, the real Amityville Horror, to be living in the shadow of something for the rest of your life, he said to the New York Times. The Amityville Horror, as it has come to know, has been long been in the public consciousness, inspiring the 1979 film starring Margaret Kidder and James Brolin, several sequels, apparently 9, and including a 2005 remake with Melissa George and Ryan Reynolds, who had almost an impressive as a beard as Brolin's. People still seek the house at 112 Ocean Avenue, even though it's now nearly unrecognisable, hoping to catch a glimpse or at least a feeling of whatever took hold of Butch Defoe and sent the Lutzes fleeing into the night. And if you want to see a clip of the trailer, we will be showing it a bit later on, and it's also on the video run that we play before we come on. So but it looks quite interesting. I'd love to see that. I've been looking for it. Have you seen the trailer, Neil?
No, I haven't, no.
Oh, it's creepy. It's all about Danny Lutz, and he's telling his experience of what actually happened when he was a child. Really interesting, and if it's true, then obviously he recalls what's basically happening as to him at the time when he was trying to be exercised.
Yeah.
And this, that, and the
So
other.
when you've done it in real life and you've seen them experiences, watching the films.
Oh well, yeah, I know that.
Doesn't do anything for me, you know.
No, I know that, but
that's the downside of it.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to get him on the show, but I've probably got buckshees of that. Well, you never know. So I actually contacted him and said, "Can we talk to him?" But you never know; they might come back and say, "Yeah." See what happens. Right, on to Derbyshire. Back to home for this one. Mysterious white balls of lights has the residents of the English town of Derby buzzing about visitors from outer space. When the odd flash lit up in the skies back in January, Dawn Ratcliffe from Losco took to the internet to see if anyone else had noticed the bizarre events. Well, apparently it's been taken up by Buforo, B-U-F-O-R-O, Heather Dixon of the British UFO Research Organisation has confirmed that they are looking into the matter, but they said, judging from the responses, she wasn't alone, as other residents packed up her story by claiming that, unlike lightning, the event lasted many seconds and effectively lit the sky for many miles on end. Residents' theories range anywhere from UFOs to government laser testing. It says, I don't think it's the lightning or some sort of power surge, says Dawn to the Ripley and Hainer News. It was a brilliant white light, unlike anything I had ever seen before. So if you're in Derby, watch out for that.
Yeah, no, just can you move a bit nearer to nearer so you can only see half of you.
Might have to move the. Let me move.
Just move your mic over a bit.
I'll have to remove that because there's probably more of you than there is of anything else. So. But,
no, really, if you push the mic up.
Yeah.
No, just the mic.
Yeah.
Just the mic.
I've done the mic.
Pull it out. Not all the way, just the part out.
Right, I'll tell you what, I'll move over a bit more. Is that better?
Can I just say on that Derby one?
Yeah.
There's been strange lights in Derby for years. Because I know for a fact, I mean, I've got some contacts who work at Rolls-Royce.
Yep.
Who work on propulsion engines and things like that.
Uh-huh.
And they do a lot of testing. You know, and people have seen strange lights over Derby for years now.
Yeah.
And all it is this Rolls-Royce doing tests on various things.
Oh, do you think that's what it is?
Well, they do a lot of military testing as well there, so.
Right, okay. I see. I'm going to change that. Oh, let me just move this camera a bit because it is out of whack, I must admit. No, that's all right. Just making sure. That's better. That's better. It's in the right place now. Right, I can put this back now. Okay. Oh. I told you it's one of them nights. Yeah, they can see him. Yeah. Okay, right, next. A columnist writing for the Jarrow and Hebburn Gazette in England said he was asking for ghost stories from his readers when one in particular stood out. The story came in from a former car wash worker in England who said he, along with his former co-workers, believed the car wash to be haunted. Reader Jimmy Swift told Michael Hallowell about the room where the containers of wax were stored. I walked into the room as normal and went to get the first of the containers, Swift said. Just as I was about to pick it up, I suddenly felt very strange, as if I was being watched. I looked around, but there was definitely no one else in there, so I left. The next morning I went into the room again, and straight away I got the same feeling as if someone was staring at me. This time I mentioned it to another lad who worked there, and he said, "Why do you think the new person always gets the job? No one else will go in there. It's haunted." Swift said soon after that he told his boss he was quitting. Upon quitting, his boss said he once found a dead dog in that same storage room. Hallowell said he tried to contact the car wash, but it has since been closed down. Perhaps that's a good thing. So, what do you think of that? Spooky car washes.
Spooky car wash. Well,
yeah.
I've got it all now. Just going back to Derby, there's a few things just being mentioned on there. Rolls-Royce is actually tied in with British Aerospace. And I do know a lot of stuff goes on that you wouldn't know about anyway. And the test bays are inside. I do know that because I've been there and visited a number of occasions. But they do testing that you wouldn't know about, put it that way. It's all hush-hush stuff, so And they have actually got a nuclear reactor underground underneath Derby. So if you live in Derby, not to worry you, you know. But if something
Andy.
goes off there, then
Hannah.
I'd get in the car and start driving quickly.
Andy and Hannah. Oh, dear me. Right, okay, my last observation for tonight. Oh, no, it's not. Sorry. It's not the last observation for tonight. There is more, she says. Thought I'd run out. Right, first of all, the crystal skulls have been deemed fake. Once again, the legend of crystal skulls had dealt another fatal blow. This time, a closer look on the microscopic levels show that there is a residue presence that was used primarily in stone carving workshops circa 1950. A bit later than the supposed thousands of years the crystal skulls were supposedly created. Bourbon, or Boban, who sold them to art dealers, then sold them onto the museum more than 100 years ago. The Smithsonian skull, however, showed up in the mail in 1992. That is, as an anonymous donation. Its arrival motivated Walsh to contact the British Museum to discuss the skulls. That conversation catalysed the scientific and historical research that finally proved the objects were phony. British and American teams were particularly suspicious of the skulls because they hadn't come from documented archaeological sites, and something was wrong with the skull's teeth. Although the skulls do appear as motifs in Aztec art, most representations of teeth in authentic pieces reflect the dentistry or lack thereof of the time. The teeth in the suspect's skull seem too linear to perfect. There's been a lot of these reports about skulls being faked of late.
Yeah, but we're not talking about the original skull here, though.
No.
I mean, I'm with Doc. Fake or not, I'd still like to have one.
Oh yeah. No, but that's Mrs. Doc. That was.
Yes. Sorry, Mrs. Doc.
Yeah, that was Mrs. Doc. So yeah.
But because the original skull that was found, the way it's been cut across the grain, and even today we can't do that with crystal.
No, this is it. So, right, now this is the last one. I'll get it right in a minute. Ghost hunters find lost souls in old Cleethorpes Hotel. According to the Grisby Telegraph, ghost hunters claim to have found the spirits of a missing fisherman and a sobbing pregnant woman in an old Cleethorpes Hotel. They descended onto the Imperial Hotel in Grimsby Road, Cleethorpes, in search of things that go bump in the night, and claim they definitely found them. Adrian Fuller, a psychic medium and co-founder of the Paranormal Technique Ghost Hunting Events Lincolnshire group, who organised the overnight events, told the Telegraph how he detected a fisherman and his wife who were unconnected to the building, but actually linked to one of the people on the investigation. He said, I picked up an old fisherman called Scott Fletcher, aged 68, and his wife, Renee. He told me he had died in 1962, when I thought, which I thought was strange, before that section of the building closed in 1942. Said Mr. Fuller. That's when one of the ladies came forward and said she knew Renee and her husband Scott when she was younger. Apparently, Scott's car was found abandoned, and he was never seen again. Other members of the team reported being touched by unseen hands. Two felt themselves being pushed against a wall, and another felt her hair being pulled while walking in the disused attic. Some people may be sceptical, but these were not mediums. They were normal members of the public, Adrian said. It was also said the group also met the spirit of a pregnant woman, believed to be a maid, who was sobbing in one of the rooms. The group has suspected the Imperial was haunted for some years after landlords, past and present, reported strange goings-on, including footsteps that sounded like a child running, doors being slammed, and beer and gas taps being turned on and off, while no one was in the cellar. It's not the first time the group has investigated the building. Last month, 2 members became separated from the group and At exactly the same time, one woman had her skirt pulled, while another felt a sudden tug on her hair. A member, Paul Johnson, 58, of Grasby, said, "Last time I walked around the building, it felt as though someone was trying to pull me out of one of the rooms. They didn't want me to be in there." During this last investigation, the team used heat sensors, electromagnetic field, EMF readers, hypersensitive sound recorders, and infrared cameras. Mr. Fuller said the EMF readers are particularly effective. Sometimes they pick up something up in the old church or buildings that have never had electricity, so we know that any disturbance must be something else that is harder to explain. So if you're in Cleethorpes, why don't you go and have a look? Okay. Another spooky night in Cleethorpes, is it? Pardon? I don't know who Dangerous Dan is. Who is Dangerous Dan? Who is Dangerous Dan? Is this the first time you've been on here? Can you come forward for me, please?
Can you come forward? Put your hand up.
Hello? Who is Dangerous Dan?
He's not a ghost, you know.
So,
No, he's just going on the reactor theory. It's not actually a theory, it's real.
So, you have to bear with us tonight. Steve and I have got a bit of a cold.
But how many people would actually know?
Not a lot of people. I mean, the last time I was there, I was there with the German Prime Minister.
Oh, he's Andy's
quite
boss.
an interesting walkabout, and trust me, it's real. And
A
a lot of people do know about it. Obviously, live in Derby, but.
So, Steve.
Yeah, pardon?
Pen over there.
Another pen.
Yeah. Right.
Here you go.
Okay. Thank you. I don't know where my pen's gone. Right. So, that was the, as Charlotte says, another spooky night in Cleethorpes. Was a couple of weeks ago, talking about the Battle of Bosworth, King Richard. He says.
Yay.
I was in Hull today, Nigel. Now that's a bad place.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. Hull's not that bad, Joe.
Hull stinks.
Well, we got 19 people on.
Yeah, we've been in Hull. It's quite nice.
I work with Andy Taylor, who put me on to listen to you guys. Oh, thanks for that, Andy. And thanks for joining us, Dangerous Dan.
Yeah, Charlotte said it used to smell of fish.
It still stinks of fish.
Not that bad, it don't.
Oh, it does.
No, it don't.
It does.
You know, only down by the docks, but not in the town.
Right, what I'm going to do is...
in the tan?
In the tan.
While I ring up Derek to get him all ready for us tonight.
Somebody's got to defend Hull.
Have they? What I'm going to do is, for those who haven't seen it, I'm going to play this...
Grimsby Docks is even worse, trust me.
Yeah, that does smell of fish.
It certainly does.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to play this My Amityville Horror bit for you, so you can see what it's all about. So we'll see you after this, and hopefully we'll have Mr. Derek Acorah with us.
Helen just said, Derek, where are you?
Right, okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the KTPF show. Yeah, gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Well, they are a bunch of jackals in there at times. Okay, Right, I'd like to introduce you to a very well-known person on the line for us at the moment. It's none other than Mr. Derek Acorah. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
How are you?
Evening, Derek.
Good, thank you. Good.
Good. It's nice to finally get you on the show. I know you're a busy man.
Yes.
Okay, well, I spoke to your good wife today and had everything ready for tonight. Yes. And I want to start off, if you don't mind, and I would like to ask you and talk about, firstly, before we talk about Derek Acorah, the medium, could I ask about Derek Johnson, the man? Could you tell us a bit about him, please?
Well, Derek Johnson is Derek Acorah, and I'm a family man. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a grandfather. I have, apart from my family, my extended family is my animals. I've got 2 dogs, Jack and Penny. I've got chickens and ducks. I've got koi carp fish. And I live in a beautiful place called Scarisbrick in Southport.
Wow.
And a happier man I don't think there could be. And I really mean that. I'm very, very fortunate that I'm living a good life.
That's a very good description of the man, I must admit. Now, for those who do know you as Derek Acorah, okay, obviously your staunch fans would probably know more about the Derek Johnson side of you.
Yeah.
Can I just start by asking, have you always been aware, and how old were you when you realised what was happening to you?
Well, yeah, I suppose so, because basically I became aware of the spiritual realm at the age of 6, a very tender, young age, when I experienced my grandfather. My grandfather was married to my grandmother, who was a medium, appeared to me in a house at the age of 6. I saw him. I heard him talking to me. In actual fact, he said to me to go down the stairs and tell Gran and Mum that Richard was there with me. That's exactly what I did. And I said to Gran and Mum, "Who is Richard?" And this man is a stranger in your house. And I was thinking at that time when, I was confronted by him in one of the bedrooms that he wasn't a spirit person. He wasn't a ghost. He was real. I could see him. He was tangible. I could see his features. I could see the clothes he was wearing. As, I saw him. I just thought there was a strange man in Gran's house. How did he get in? And when it was pointed out to me, when Gran showed me some photographs, it turned out to be my grandfather, who passed away, as a lot of people call died, 2.25 years before I was actually born. I knew nothing about him.
Really?
Yes.
How did you feel when you found out all this? What was your feelings to it?
Well, I didn't really get told about him after that experience till I was about 9. And Mum and Gran thought, in their infinite, wisdom, that maybe I was of age, I could understand or comprehend it. And I was just stunned. I sat there on that settee thinking, oh my God, I can see ghosts.
Wow.
Oh, I don't like this.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like it. And I said to Gran, when she explained to me that's what she did, I don't want to be like you, Gran. I love you, Gran, but I don't want to see ghosts. So I tried to push it away.
Yeah. Which
I did. And like every young boy or every young lady, girl, you have visions of your future, what you want to do. And all I wanted to do was play football. I wanted to be a famous footballer. And I realised my dream because I happened to be A-OK as a young schoolboy, and football teams were watching me. And the great Bill Shankly at Liverpool, in those days, the scouts were watching me. And the moment the scouts came along to my mum and dad and said, Bill Shankly wanted to sign me for Liverpool, I was just like, I was in a new realm. It was like, oh, my dream is going to be realised. I'm going to be a famous footballer. And that's what actually happened. I signed as a schoolboy at 13. So whatever time I finished my schooling, whether I stayed on, went for GCEs, or even higher level, Liverpool had the first shout on me. At 15 and a half, I wasn't what we call the greatest scholar in the world. No. I didn't really want to concentrate. All I wanted to do was play football. Yeah. So Mum and Dad gave in. And they said, well, okay, we're not going to get any further with him, so come on, let him sign for the great man, which I did. And I signed for Liverpool Football Club as an apprentice professional. Then at 17, full-time professional on the staff. And, well, you know what? Whilst I was with the great man and all that lovely, fantastic side, they were just starting to, come into their own. And whilst I was there, they were winning everything. You know what? I tried every way, everything I could, cellular level, to break into the first team. And I couldn't. I wasn't good enough. In those days, every single first team player in the squad were internationals.
Yeah.
And, it was very difficult for a young player, whether it be local or even a player that was bought in for thousands of pounds. You just couldn't break into the side.
No. Well, as I say, when you started doing all this, we often hear you mention about Sam. And for our listeners, can you just tell us a bit about Sam and how he first came to you?
Well, Sam's my main spiritual guide. A lot of mediums have a lot of guides, but they always have one main up front main guide, and Sam's mine. I got to know about Sam, and that's a fact. My gran, when I was only a young boy, age of 11, she said, in years to come, you're going to get to know Sam. But she never said Sam, she said Masumai. And I said, and who's he? And well, he's your spiritual guide from your birth to the time that you go back over to the world of spirit. And it was a bit amusing at the time because I didn't quite understand all the logistics of what she was saying. However, looking back in retrospect, yes. And then Sam started to come to me. I started to have what we call very deep dream state images over a fixed period of time. And I'd go to bed. I used to hate going to bed because the sooner I go to bed, I'd go into this like sleep state, and all of a sudden, I started seeing this village, people who were dark of skin, kiddies running around. I could hear the elders talking about different, and then it was shown to me that I was, in my previous lifetime, a child that was born in this village, Ethiopian. And that was my family.
Yeah.
And it was unreal to me. It was like, am I going mad? Am I going stupid? But it turned out, that's exactly what I was meant to see. And then when Sam started making the connection voice-wise with me in this life, I could accept it more.
Right. Now, the first time me and Steve actually saw you was on a daytime show with Becky Want.
Oh, yes, all those years ago.
Yeah. But you
Lovely
were doing
Becky.
things in between them all over the world before you were asked to feature in a new British television programme that was originally called Haunted Truths.
Yes.
Can you tell us how this came about and why you thought it was time to call it a day?
Firstly, about Haunted Truth and why I decided to call a day on Haunted Truth.
What Haunted Truth is, you and me know.
Well, yeah. Haunted Truth is what people now know as Most Haunted. And Haunted Truth, I met Yvette Fielding came on to one of my shows at Granada, and it was live Derek Acorah with an audience. And that was on a program called Psychic Lifetime. And she came along this one afternoon with a couple of friends, didn't know her, didn't recognise her. I'm sorry, that's the way. I don't recognise many people, maybe. I just do my work.
Yeah.
And I sat, and I went to a couple of her friends in the audience, and apparently went outside talking after camera. And she apparently, as she told me when she met me, she was so impressed. She said it was just unbelievable and so on and so forth. Would I meet her husband? Because he had a program idea. Her husband being a man called Carl Beatty. Never met the man before ever, and I said yes. When she said he just so happens to be in the green room up in the studios right now. Would you see him before you go home? And I said, of course I would. Anyway, when my wife and I, we went up and we were introduced to Carl Beatty, and he spoke to me for a couple of moments, and he said, I'd love to go at length in talking about this. It's very secretive at the moment. Could we meet next time that you come in to the, to your show, and we go into Manchester and we'll take you for a bite to eat and talk about it at our leisure? I said, of course, that's good. So the following Wednesday, because we used to do Psychic Lifetime Wednesday and Fridays, and I used to do another show in the week. It was about 3 times a week. We went along, and he told me all about, Most Haunted, that was then termed as Haunted Truths. And he said, can't pay you any money. However, if you're the main contributor, the main medium in the show, naturally we'll pay you good money. So I said, okay. We went along, we did the pilot, went very successful, and he sold it off to Living TV. Living TV asked to meet me, separate to Yvette and Carl Beatty, and said what they planned to do, because it was a great program. They loved my content. but they wanted to call it a different name. And I think I was the first one to hear what they were wanting to call it, Motion before even a bet and call.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I've got nothing to do with it. I said, because they're the production company, you'll have to take it up with them. But I must admit, I like the name of it better than Horns of Truth.
Yeah.
So it took off and what have you. Now, what was the other part of the question you asked me?
What made you decide to call it a day?
Right. I'd been into the series, which I absolutely loved. In the conception, loved it, and what have you. And I'd done into the 4th series, which was a lot of shows, even with the Most Haunted Lives.
Yeah.
Which was a lot of shows. You're talking about over 4 years. And then all of a sudden, it became very, very aware, more so to Yvette than Carl, than me, I should say, and also to Carl, that for some reason, I don't know why, it seemed that Derek Acorah, the medium within the program, seemed to be I don't like this word, but seemed to be the favourite.
Yeah. Not
the presenter or anyone else. In other words, the viewers and people were saying and what have you. Unknown to me, I didn't know if that was smarting over this.
Yeah.
And then from there on in, we found out, because I was always the last to go to a venue in the evening time, and all the cast and the team were there in the daytime, and a lot of the people who were my friends used to inform me and tell me that in the day, these two people, Yvette and Carl, were going on and saying the only star of this program is Yvette, not Derek Acorah. And there was a lot of guilt, a lot of... so, of course, I started coming to the shows, and it all changed. She had actually, and this is the truth, she used to tell the crew and the team, don't speak to me.
Yeah.
Put him into Coventry, make him feel unwelcome. And, you know, when we were together for nearly 24 hours every time, it's a horrible, horrible, horrible experience and sensation. It was terrible.
Yeah. We got a comment on the chat room for you. Andy707 said it was never the same when you left.
Well, you know, a lot of people have said this, even right up to this day. But you see, Yvette could not handle not being the star. And I never set out to be liked in the manner in which I seem to be. But I don't think it was me, the person, Derek. It was my mediumship. And one thing led to another, and I did an interview like this for an American radio station, and within 24 hours, the station were threatened from Yvette Field and Carl Beattie by closing them down, going to sue them, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And they did the same to anyone that said anything like this. They did the same to me. And I said, right, I phoned my lawyer, and he said, Derek, this is wrong.
Yeah.
He knew all about this.
Yeah.
So he said, do you want to, they want to take you into the High Court in London through a top lawyer firm called Shillings. And I phoned my lawyer in London, who knew all about what I'd gone through with my agent, and he said, Derek, all the threats that they're doing to you, it's now 4.5 years on where you've not been able to speak. Because I was on a confidentiality clause.
Yeah.
Where I was sworn that if I spoke anything about the content, what happened, I would be sued and everything could be taken away from me. I'd given up after 4.5 years because they were slating me. They were going on to Jonathan Ross. They were saying all these evil things about me. And I just quite had enough. And I spoke out. And then we got threats. And I said to my lawyer, let's go and meet them in the courts. Because I know the truth will come out. And will be and they backed off. They cannot hurt me in any way anymore. They hurt me enough.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's nice to hear your side of the story, to be honest with you, as much as you can tell us.
Yeah, I can tell you a lot. The thing is, you know, I'm writing my autobiography. And we're 2/3 through it now. And it's going to come out, hopefully, just towards the end of the year. And the truth will all out.
Yeah, it needs to be done.
And it will be.
Yeah.
It will be complete once I've my book comes out.
We have one question for you. We've got quite a few coming in, but most of them tie into what I'm asking you later. Did you feel you were being phased out by Most Haunted when they started bringing other mediums in to work alongside you?
Well, of course I did.
Yeah.
But I didn't say anything.
No.
I kept a smiley face. I used to talk to my wife about it because she was always on or offset with me.
Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah.
And they did it, and they knowingly did it in front of me to try and discern me. But I kept a smiley face. I loved the program. I loved what I was doing. It didn't matter who was controlling it. I knew that Living TV, who were the commissioners, were behind me, even if Beckfield and Carl Beatty were not.
Yeah. Well, there's one question I want to ask you, and it is quite delicate, and I know roughly the answer of what you're going to say, I think. But I'd like to ask you about an episode in which, to be honest, the fallout afterwards, in my opinion, and I would expect many of your fans, was downright disgraceful. Regardless of the truth, it should have been handled more diplomatically. And since then, we have heard so many different versions of the story behind the Creed Cafe episode.
Yes. None
I hasten to have been in your favour. So, could you tell us your side? I understand that there is some sort of order in progress.
Well, there is. You're fortunate that I'll speak about this because, it's been the height of terrible, the industry of reporting. What actually happened on the day of what happened that evening on that investigation?
Yeah.
I arrived at the location. When I say arrived, like every investigation I went to, that company under a Carl and Yvette used to tell me to go to a hotel. And that hotel could be miles and miles away from the location. And we were always the last to get to that location. Your David Wells, the other mediums, and all the others that actually, were all good people, by the way, got invited to go there early in the afternoon. But Derek Acorah wasn't allowed to go there until I'd never get to the hotel before 7 o'clock. Sometimes they'd pick me up at 9 o'clock. Sometimes it was 8:30. Never ever late at 9 o'clock. Sometimes they did it in such a way, which I was pleased about, that one time I was in Surrey at a hotel and they sent a runner in a car to pick me up to take me into the next county, which was about 30 minutes drive, just to keep the place secretive.
Yeah.
And I remember starting the investigation. I knew there was something up. I knew there was something going on because Kieran O'Keefe and Carl Beatty were, like thick as thieves.
Yeah.
They were with each other right the way through, which was unusual.
Yeah.
And both of them, whenever they walked out past me, they'd snigger and say something. And I thought, they're up to something, these two. Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, cut a long story short, we started the investigation. And I remember stopping, and I remember Kath, the artist, the makeup artist, saying, "Derek, you're sweating." Well, unfortunately, he didn't like it, but he used to put makeup on us, and just for the camera. And she couldn't. And at that moment she did that, I started getting that name. And I remember saying about that name, that the name and the voices were in the ether. I'm a medium. I pick up. I'm sensitive to, like any other medium, sensitive to the things in the ether. Voices, descriptive words, when we get what we call visual, whether it be subjective mental images or even objective in front of us, like seeing spirit people. So that name was coming and what have you. And I started to utter it. Now, what came in the as I remember, the accusations in the paper that they put in, would you believe this? They put it in the day that my new show, a year and a quarter later, when I was starting my first show for Derek Acorah's Ghost Towns, they put in that Kieran O'Keefe had left a piece of paper somewhere within the building. Now listen to this. Yeah. Somewhere in the building, with the name Creed Kafer on it.
Yeah.
And that I'd spotted it, seen it, and mentioned the name. How ludicrous.
Yeah.
How ridiculous. And when I was asked this, which I'd been asked by many radio stations, television, and what have you, I said exactly the same. And you see, firstly, Kieran O'Keefe, who's as thick as thieves with Carl Beaton of Hatfield and fearing he'd lose his job, went along with these two cretins.
Yeah.
And they can never, even if they're listening right now, they can never come at me again because they know it's the truth. And they will never, ever wish to even attempt to take Derek Acorah, Sam his guide, or anything to do with me ever again. Because when it comes out in my book, then everyone's going to know the total truth.
It's that karma again, isn't it?
Yes, it's come back to bite them.
Yes. So, well, let's move on from there, shall we, Derek?
I hope so. Let's go into brighter things. More positive things.
No, but as I say, everyone's really not, think that, telling it like it is and everything, they're really up for it on here. But let's move on from there to nicer things, as you said. Now,
I'm sorry if I've upset all the ardent fans of Most Haunted, but look, as I say again, they're listening. Tell them I loved it. Yeah. I loved it as if it was my own program.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that wasn't asked on there from Simply Joe, she did say, was you asked to egg it up a bit on the show? Was you asked to sort of like...
No, I never was.
No.
I never was. Honestly, God's truth, I never was.
Okay.
Had I been, I would have rejected it.
Yeah. Okay.
I do remember at one point in time where Carl had we had at the end of the tour, we used to have a party, which gladly they paid for.
Yeah.
And I remember him, we're all sitting having something to eat, and I remember him saying that because of the nature of the program, it was really going forward, it was going to go across the world, it was going to be mega, as he called it, it was going to be a monster. He'd been told by whoever that they needed to move the program on.
Yeah.
So my first thing was, I looked at Glenn and said, what does he mean, move it on? And then it was mentioned that maybe we could have more frightening times. And I said, how can you have more frightening times than what we had? Naturally. So I don't know how to take that. I can't say they meant anything to, but I can't say that. And I won't say it, but I wonder, even to this day, I wonder what it meant.
Well, I've got a comment in the chat room for you.
Yeah.
And it's been mentioned to me before. Doc Savage, as we call him, John Savage from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Paranormal Group. He says, I would like to say this, even though Degsy, that's him. Sorry, that's Neil calling you Degsy. I'm getting it now.
My mum and dad call me Degsy. Okay.
It's all right. It's just the way Neil calls it. Oh, it's our Degsy.
Yeah.
Even though Derek was treated badly on Most Haunted, if it was not for him being on Most Haunted, I would not have found Derek. Sorry, I would not have found Derek, and then Derek found my wife. Oh yeah, he found you on the program, and then he found his wife.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Derek. He said that should be Most Haunted, yeah. And his wife says we are only together today because of him, and they're now living in Minnesota.
Well, bless them, and
they've
thank
got
you very much.
kids, and so they still come back to England now and again.
Well, that's the world of spirit. It's not Derek Acorah. It's who I work for.
So they always thank you for that. So somehow they met, and
I'm so pleased.
So Anita said, AKA Wacky is one of the Derek's angels.
Yeah, I've got a group of lovely souls who call themselves Derek Acorah's angels.
Yes.
And they are absolutely. I've met them all.
Yeah.
At fan club things, and they are absolutely just short of being angelic, actually.
Yeah. There was one question here. Somebody wants to know, what about the Mary Loves Dick line?
Oh, well, now that's a different matter. That is absolutely beautiful, because if you speak to Gwen, or you speak to anyone else that's honest on the program, whenever I was either channeling or even open to the atmosphere of the world of spirit. I was in a home that we went on a trek of trying to find everything out about Dick Turpin, the highwayman. Yeah. And our last place on, I think it was a 3-night live, was at Dick Turpin's home where he was brought up by his mum. Born, brought up, and his mother was called Mary.
Yeah.
And when they asked me to see, if I could make the link, the connection with Dick, the first person to come through and in front of Yvette was a woman called Mary. And I said, the way she talked to me, I just said it out just absolutely openly. Oh, you know what, Evie, Mary loves Dick. Now, Yvette's eyes changed, and she realised, because she wasn't open to the world of spirit, she was there with a mental activity of a presenter, and her eyes were on. She said, Mary loves Dick. I said, she really loves Dick. Of course, it went all over the world within seconds, and then I followed it up by saying, and you know what? Mary covers Dick up. Well, it was just like a sensation. Now, of course, I'm talking about the context that Mary loves Dick, and she was covering him up, hiding him from the authorities.
Yeah.
But that was honest to God, opening up and saying the word spontaneously, as I felt. There wasn't any setup to it.
No.
No one had come to me and said, Derek, say this.
Yeah.
I said it spontaneously. And it was only after the show, when we all went back to the hotel, and the head of Living TV said, that was gold dust.
Yeah.
I said, what do you mean gold dust? I feel embarrassed now that I know what,
Yeah.
He said, oh, no, don't. It's television gold dust.
Yeah.
But I didn't know, and, I'm just being the medium, not like a presenter, not like a staged actor, just being me, the medium.
So obviously you went from Most Haunted, and with all the hype and everything else from that, obviously Neil wanted to ask a question on why you wanted to go on it, wasn't it? You wanted to ask.
Oh, no, it's just a quick one, but I think you've covered it anyway. Hi, Derek. It's
Neil Munnerley, psychic medium from Liverpool.
I'm also from Liverpool, also medium as well. We've actually met a couple of times, many years ago, when you were doing your. I
recognise your voice, Neil.
You probably do, yeah.
Yeah.
It was when you were on the radio show and doing your psychic cafe and things like that. So it was quite a while ago. You probably don't remember the face, but you remember the voice. It was just a quick question, really, why you signed the contract in the first place. But obviously you've answered all that anyway, so I don't need to go through that. But I did want to say, with what you've done, these last few years in your work and how you've actually raised out of that, and I just want to say you've done a hell of a lot for us mediums out there.
I like to think. I mean, some people say to me that you come through it all, this, that, and the other, and it's quite wonderful to me here, like what you're saying now, and it makes me feel rather proud, spiritually proud, that I've had some kind of effect, although not realizing, knowing it at the time, for people to go on. How many people have said to me, Derek, until I spoke to you, my awareness, and I went on this walk, this trail, this learning curve, and I'm now developing as a medium or a healer and what have you. And I feel bloody proud about that. Yeah, I really do. More so than any television show I've ever done, in any way, shape or form. They're the cream, I suppose, television shows. But what I'm doing live these days, which I was doing before television, when I'm with people live, and I can do the connections with the world of spirit, that's what I'm truly proud of.
Yeah.
I do actually have to laugh because you've just covered a subject about Mary Loves Dick there. And we had an episode about 3 or 4 years ago, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
In a museum in Buxton, and I was actually doing some channeling there, and I had the same episode, Mary Loves Dick, and it did actually have something to do with the royal family, but it was quite secretive at the time.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a lot of information, but everyone was saying I was doing an impersonation of you. But that wasn't the case, I promise.
Many people have done that.
Yeah. It was actually genuine as well, because when it was checked out, nobody knew about this particular.
Well, good on him. Good on him, because that then shows you the validity of your mediumship. Okay, keep going.
Yeah.
I'm trying, Derek. I'm trying. And it's me who calls you our Degsy, by the way.
Yeah, you can call me Degsy anytime.
Well, anyway, as I say, we've got a load more questions for you. But what we're going to do is we're going to give you a little bit of a break while we just play a little bit of a trailer from an up-and-coming movie.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll give you time to get a bit of a drink or something, because for about 2 minutes. As I say, because you're sounding a little bit horsey there tonight.
Well, the thing is, I've had a little bit of a chest, and which you get virus, don't you? And I'm on the road a lot, and you do pick up colds.
Yeah.
You know, people come in to the theatres with colds, viruses, and what have you. You stay behind. This is when it happens. Not when I'm doing the work, but when I stay behind, which I've always done since day one, and speak to people, do signings, have photographs with them, and you suddenly find when you're alongside them, and they'll say to you, "Oh, I've had a terrible virus," or "I've had a terrible cold," and you go, "Oh, no." A couple of days later, you've got it.
Yeah, well, this is it. Well, we'll give you a couple of minutes while we just...
I'll be okay. I'll have a drink of water, and I'm sure I'll be clear-throated again.
Okay. As I say, we're now back on the KTPF. Guys, I hope you're enjoying this. I've seen a load of questions there. Some of them will be covered in what set of questions I've got. So if I don't mention them, don't worry about it. We will be covering them soon. Steve's rapidly writing some of them down, so I will be getting to them. Okay, so Derek's just gone off to have a quick drink. Why are we seeing film trailer? The reason why we're seeing a film trailer is because I'm just giving Derek a bit of a break, because this is all about him tonight. So I'm just throwing in a trailer here and there just to give him a little bit of a breather, because as he said, he's not feeling too good tonight. He's got a bit of a sore throat. And as I say, we don't want to make the guy hoarse, because I believe he's out tomorrow night. So please bear with us. And as I say, like you said, when you go out all these places, you do get a bit of a hoarse throat and everything. So anyway, but I think he's back with us now. Derek, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm back with you now.
Oh, good, great.
Forgive my voice.
Pardon?
Forgive my voice and the listeners, because this is what happens on the road. Maybe tomorrow morning, maybe, it'll all clear. I'm back out working tomorrow evening and the next night. So, I'm just thankful that even the fans that come to the shows, they will know when I've got a cold.
Oh, yeah.
They just know, But anyway.
Well, anyway, let's get back to the...
Let's get on with this lovely interview.
I'm really pleased that you're here with us tonight, as I say. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on from Most Haunted, obviously, you came back with your own show, including Ghost Towns and the Antiques Ghost Show.
Oh, yes, I love both of them.
Yeah, and you say how we get vibrations through voices, but how did it work with the Ghost Show?
Well, with the Ghost Show, I mean, voice vibrations were there in corporate, but, I saw spirits objectively. I saw differently. In actual fact, I loved Most Haunted, but I absolutely adored Ghost Towns, because I was free of all this treachery that was going on the background with me at Most Haunted. And I was free of that. And I worked with two very delightful presenters. One being, the first one was, gosh, it sounds terrible, I can't remember her name.
I can't remember, and I went to your first live.
Hold on, it was the lovely lady that's just gone back onto EastEnders now. Oh gosh, it's like as if I've got a brain block. But the second presenter was Mylene Class. And she was superb. She was lovely. And I just adored the two series. In actual fact, can I tell you, listeners, the controller of Living TV held it back from me after we'd done the first half of the first series of Ghost Towns. But I got told by the commission editor, Stephen Jones, who's in Australia now, Derek, what you don't know is that Ghost Towns in the second period of the first series was beating Most Haunted in the ratings. We were. People were turning off because I was off it, and they were watching Ghost Towns. And I said, really? And he said, yes. And he said, the only reason you were not told, because you would have said to the commissioners at Living TV, well, why are you not commissioning the third series? Because then he told me, he said, Most Haunted was the greatest program that Living had ever had up to their time, and they went from second to bottom in the league of studios, won all kinds of awards. So Most Haunted were their flagship program. So the shareholders said, we can't have anything affect this because this can go well wide. We make money, merchandise, and this, that, and the other. So cut Derek Acorah's Ghost Towns off now.
Yeah, that's why it was stopped, was it?
That's what they did. That was the politics behind it.
Yeah. So there's not any future ghost towns coming back?
Not with at this moment in time with any British or English network. However, I was in America, in California, at one time, going back, and they wanted to buy the program off Living TV.
Yeah.
What they wanted to do was use me as the medium and American people within the program. They got in touch with Living TV, and Living TV asked too much money.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't take it on. But I've got other things that are happening now, and I'm getting excited. I think this year is going to be absolutely fabulous. I really do. I'm tingling with it. There's so many projects, paranormal projects that people have approached me about that I know I'm going to be doing one before this year's up through.
Yeah.
I'll be back on telly doing my work with Sam.
Right, okay. And obviously from ghost towns and that, you went to Egypt, didn't you?
I did.
Oh, wow.
For 6 weeks.
We did see a few of them episodes. I must
Did
admit.
you?
Yeah, and somebody was asking, Helen, she wanted to know what was your best moment filming in Egypt?
I think the best moment was when I was in the the major, as I call it, they call it different, the major pyramid next to the Sphinx.
Yeah.
And we went up into certain places, and we ended up in a tomb, and there was an open sarcophagus. I can't even pronounce it.
Sarcophagus.
So, yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Sarcophagus.
Yeah, and I must be dyslexic. And I just had a feeling to lie down in it.
Yeah.
And as I went in, I felt the energy of spirits coming in. And we had an Egyptian, the second in command of the Egyptian antiquities there, next to Dr. Hawass. And he was standing with the camera crew and the producers. And as I'm there, apparently, I looked at it later on, and it was quite frightening, I suppose. People start walking up, and they could hear different sounds. And one Egyptian man said, in Egyptian, something which was quite sacred, and I just popped up and went, like this, you see. Well, they all, excuse the word, they all panicked. They all jumped out their skins, and they all ran away from me. But the elation of the feeling of the person, and it was only the Egyptian antiquity man asked me a couple of questions. And when I told him who it was, he said, "Now, sir, you have now solved a mystery that's been, lying on the shoulders of the Egyptian people for thousands of years." And I felt so, it was just amazing. Then when I was taken to the Cairo Museum, and it was dead of night, it was 1 o'clock in the morning, and they had police, they had army people there in the grounds, they had special agents with dogs, they had the special forces. There must have been surrounded, whilst we were filming inside, something like 2,000 special people, because they feared that we were going to be abducted or, something terrible happened to us. And it was amazing what actually happened in there, because the Egyptian head said to the producers, "We're going to put this man to real test here, because if he can solve this, then we will believe in him." So I didn't know, and the producer said, "Well, Derek, probably this is going to be one of the most difficult things you will ever have to put up with. What you've got to do, we're going to take you into a part of the building which was massive. The Cairo Museum is massive. It's like 5 stories, really. And they took me to the right top where no outside individual unusual place from anywhere in the world outside the antiquities I'd ever been in. And I walked in with the camera crew, and I couldn't believe my eyes. All I could see was stacked up something like 10 high was these sarcophaguses, if you like, of mummified remains.
Yeah.
Going right down. There must have been thousands of them. Oh. And I had an enviable task to try and find a mummy who they wanted, but not telling me who it was, but just give me some, like, minor details. So I walked round, and I must have walked around for 2 hours. I said, no, I'm picking nothing up, nothing. So what they did is they got me off to go and have a cup of tea, drink of water, whatever, and an hour's break. So by this time, it was 4 o'clock in the morning. And my wife was there with me. I said, I'm really feeling tired, I'm drained. We all need to go back to the hotel.
Yeah.
And that was transported to the Egyptian people from the production. And they said, please give it one last try. So what they did is they brought a number of these mummified remains down from the big room into the smaller room. I think there was 5 or 6 of them. And they said, go round them and just tell us what you think. And so I went round, and then suddenly I stopped. And then next to this mummy, I saw a boy and a man. And I knew, naturally, they were Egyptian, the way they were dressed. They were from spirit. And they said, she belonged to, the mummified remains belongs to, the boy that was his mother, and, that was her husband upon her. And my first words were, this is not a man, this is a woman. And this woman portrayed being a man, although she had a husband and a son. And then when I got it, because I knew nothing about Egyptian history, then I got Pharaoh. And I said, this woman was a Pharaoh. And then I got the name. Well, these Egyptians just went wild in the room. And they kept on shaking my hand saying, king, king, king. And I didn't know what they were meaning.
Yeah.
It was saying I was the king because I solved the mystery and found the only woman pharaoh ever in the history of Egypt.
Is this Aconette?
Yes.
Is this the one you channeled?
Yes.
Charlotte, Nigel, he's asking, how did you feel when this happened the first time?
Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah?
It was amazing because, here I was channeling a lady. So I had ladies' feelings.
Yeah.
I had ladies' intimate intuition. I had ladies' sensitivity, which most men haven't got. And I had an empathy for. And it was wonderful. I'd never, ever channeled anything like that before, ever in my work.
Wow. So would you say that this place was your most everlasting impression, or is there other places?
Oh, there are other places. And you see, I give a list to Living TV of the places I wanted to go, the sacred places in the world. And Egypt was number 1. Then I give all the list of the other places, such as Peru, even in Australia, such as Ayers Rock, and all the other places that you see. And the only reason why networks have not taken it on is because the cost.
Yeah. The
cost is unbelievable. It costs an awful lot of money to do that program in Egypt. For the Living TV had never spent the millions that they did on that program as they did.
First of all, Charlotte said, can you ask him to say hi to Aki, Akhenaten, for him? So if you can say hi to Aki, if you wouldn't mind.
Hi, Aki. How are you?
And the other question I wanted to ask regarding the pyramids and everything, Simply Joe, I think it was asking, did you find out exactly what they were actually used for? Because there are many theories about UFOs and stuff like that.
Well, I found out, and I want everyone to know this, okay? I was told that it wasn't the right time. That's why the information has not come to the earth plane just yet. There's a reason for it. Although I know the answers, I am held by spirit not to say it because it's not, the timing's not right. The timings are right, okay, after 2015.
Right. Okay.
And I will go public then. Because in 2015, there'll be an awful lot of knowledge and information that the world will know and see for themselves before Derek Acorah utters anything. Well, then I'll finish it.
Right, okay. Let's see what we've got next. What was your most... Right. What was your most memorable experience in your work, and has anything really scared you?
Well, no, let's go to the latter. Anything ever scared me? Yes. Yeah, it did, yeah. There was an episode in a investigative situation, and it wasn't with Most Haunted. It wasn't with Ghost Towns. It was with a personal investigation that two lovely people asked me to do in Liverpool many, many years ago with a man called Alan Bates, who's a good friend of mine. And it was a wine bar in Liverpool, close to the docks. And it was a very successful wine bar. People, young folk went there, and, you know, it was quite busy. And then all of a sudden, the atmosphere started going wrong, and people were arguing and fighting, and they're friends with each other. Girls who walked in together before they finished the night were arguing and hitting each other. And it was all down to a spirit that was there, who was a man who was a seafarer.
Yeah. And
he came in from Sardinia. He was on a ship and what have you. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, whether he caused it himself, he was stabbed and thrown into the water in the boating area. And he'd never forgiven it. And he went into this place, which is very close, a building, and he'd been causing all these troubles. I had the biggest problem in my life. I'd never seen phenomena up to that time seeping from the walls, which was, it was, I don't know what you can call it. But anyway, everyone saw it, everyone touched it, everyone, you know, with their own physical eyes saw it. And then when I went along, he showed himself in one of the toilets, and he was the most angered spirit I'd ever come across.
Wow.
And he said he was out and out to get everyone, out and out to make them, although he couldn't kill them, his words, he would make sure that they did something to harm themselves. And I had to get him. Now, it's funny because there's footage of this.
Yeah.
In Liverpool, a television company came out called, I think it was Liverpool Live, and they televised this. And it's all there. It's all there, filmed, and what it went on in daylight. And everyone, the bar owners, people who were there, cameramen, salmon, were petrified because it was happening in front of them. And I had to really go in there and, well, let's say, put myself before the other people for protection. And well, his intent was, if he could get away with it, he would kill me. But he couldn't because he didn't have any power anymore. Our spirit people don't. It's all threats. That's what I'm going across the world now telling people.
Yeah.
It's all threats through intellect. They can't do it.
No.
They can't do it. It's threats.
So, going on to when you do these shows like Most Haunted and stuff, we've seen you channel spirits, like we say, as in with the Egypt one. Yeah. Now, where you seem possessed, for want of a better word. Some people say possessed.
Yes, this comes up, and it's been coming up for all these years. What I've pointed out to everyone is this. When a medium, or even a person who's a non-mediumistic person, when a person is possessed, it's against their free will.
Yes.
They don't know it's happening. When a medium, a professional medium, who's trained, when he or she agrees for what we call, I suppose it's like a possession for a short space of time, when he or she allows them to come in, and you then, I'm very careful in using those words, when you say, yes, I agree to channeling you for a short space of time, you're knowledgeable of the individual spirit coming in. And that's the difference.
Right, okay.
So every time I've done that, I've never been possessed. I've allowed the spirit person for a short space of time to come in through my auric field.
To use you as a vessel, sort of thing.
Yes, that's all.
Okay, so when you do, how do you feel?
Don't feel anything.
You don't know it's happening.
You're detached. You're way back. It's as if like you are pushed way back, as if you're no longer needed. Right. I can hear the spirit person who's in there, but I can't hear words strongly. It's very like whispered, what they're saying through my vocal box. And this is why I often laugh when people say, oh, if it was a real possession, they'd be speaking in their tone, their language. That's only television, what you've seen on films, like Exorcist and what have you. They do it for drama. They can only speak through you, through your vocal box, through your voice. Yeah. Okay? Through your accent, not through theirs. No matter whether they belonged here 300 or 400 years ago. I'm a Scouser. They're going to speak through me. They're going to speak in a Scouse intellect.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Well, and that's been asked all over the world.
I bet it has. You know, we've talking about all over the world. I'm just going to skip a bit just before I miss this. These questions that have come through from the actual chat room. Yeah. As I say, some of them I've not been asked in because it's all part of what I've got here anyway. But we've been asked by John Savage in Minnesota. He would like to know what your take is on the paranormal group shows that are on TV here in the States. Does he think that they are good, or are they just fake and trying to make a buck?
Well, that's a very good question, and I don't like speaking down about anyone. No. But I have watched them. I was only discussing with 2 Americans today who live in England here today. Yeah. And they work for the American Air Force in Bury St. Edmunds. And they're only speaking to Alan Moorhead earlier today. And he said they are so weak. They are so if we thought Most Haunted didn't prove things, they're certainly not proving things even more so. American TV at the moment, although I don't watch it a great deal, I've watched a bit of it. I don't see any difference in anything really that they are proving, even more so than Most Haunted, to be honest. No. The talking heads, an awful lot of these programs are less sufficient of mediumship and just being ordinary people, which I think is a good thing. Yeah. I really do. It's the way to go. However, if those American programs are not producing or giving out any more evidence of the world of spirit, well, they're falling down. Alan Moorhead and other Americans here in England, who are stationed in England, think they're quite weak. And he's looking for programs. By the way, can I tell you, I'm rather excited about this. What? I'm in talks with a major network with America right now, through Alan Moorhead. And one of these networks have seriously looked at this new program idea. And I'm going to be flying out to America very shortly to talk with them.
Well, that was one of the questions he asked earlier about whether you were going to America.
I am. I'm heading out.
You're going there.
I'm going there.
Good on you, lad. Okay, well, being a medium, you talk of those who have crossed over when you're on your shows and everything. Yeah. How does this work? And do you remember ever passing on a message that was so intense and emotional for you personally? And if so, how do you separate your feelings from the spirit and the person who wants the contact with them?
Well, I remember a lovely gentleman coming to see me in my days, long years ago, a lot of years ago, before television, before radio. And I used to do readings from an office in Liverpool. And I remember a lovely man coming to see me, a very slight, very quiet man. And quite quickly, he had his reading. And I said, how do you feel about that? And he said, it was really good, thank you. And he took his tape recording away with him, because they used to tape record all the readings for people to look back on, you know? Yeah. And maybe about 7 months later, he made contact again. Yeah. When he walked in my office the next time, he was a different man. I could see he was subdued, he was not the same man.
Yeah.
And when he sat down, I told him what I saw, and he said exactly what was happening in his emotional life.
Mm-hmm.
And he said to me, I love my wife. I love her to bits. His words.
Yeah.
I work 2 jobs to try and keep our standard of life up. I love my children and what have you. But what's just happened to me, what you just told me, is true. He said, I can't stay here. And he was told by his mother from the world of spirit, he must have strength. He will get through, and this, that, and the other. But anyway, cut a long story short, I said at the end of the reading, you got 3 lovely children, 2 daughters and a son. And you must not do what's in your mind of intent. And you will be forever sorry if you do. And he listened to me. I knew what it was. And I remember coming home to my wife. I'd never had anything like that ever before in my readings. I used to work 6 days a week, Monday, Saturday. And I was most disturbed. And she said, do you think he... And I said, I don't know. I just got that. Well, it was only a matter of 3 weeks later that the CID of Crewe, a place called Crewe, phoned me up and said, we want to come and speak to you. We've been listening to 2 of your tape recordings with such and such a man. And I said, yes, what? And he said, he's committed suicide. And he took his children with him in a car. Well, when I heard that in my office, I closed my office. I had one more reading, excused myself, told the lady I was too upset, didn't tell her the content. I came home and I said, I had 2 days off. It was the weekend, you know, the day now. I can't go back to my work. I can't do this anymore. I can't work for spirit. I'm not going to put up with this sort of thing, getting, you know, engaging with terrible, terrible tragedy.
Yeah.
And I come away from my work for 6 months. What I actually did, I said to my wife, I don't know what I can do, love. And she was waiting for a eminent solicitor as a legal executive in Liverpool. And I'd done for years. And she said, you know what, I can see that you need to change. Something's good. So we saw this ad in the paper, and it was for pub management.
Yeah.
And we went on a course within that week for 2 weeks, and we got it, and we started doing, I was doing relief management of the pub. Oh, I hated it. It was horrible. And Gwen said, I can see you don't like this. And I said, I want to go back to my way. So I went back to my way. I got the office again, and everyone was so pleased that I came back, and this and the other. But that was the one thing that I hated. Now, don't think that I have not similar things again over the years, but I know how to cope with it.
Okay. Well, we're going to give you a bit of a couple of minutes to special on Derek Acorah.
Okay.
So we're just going to do the paranormal events for you, and then we'll come back.
Okay.
We've got all the news right here. Don't go away.
Fed up of wading through the activities and events that other advertisers include? Find just what you're looking for at paranormaleventsforyou.com, your one-stop paranormal directory.
And on the weekend of the 16th of March, there's a Mind, Body and Spirit Fair at Elscar Heritage Centre in Barnsley. And on the 16th of the 3rd, you can have the Pendle Hill Experience with DI Paranormal UK at Pendle Hill in Sabden. Also on the 16th of the 3rd, there's the monthly psychic one-to-one readings with Neil Munnerley and Suzanne Lilly. Just go to Neil Munnerley's website for more details. On the 22nd of the 3rd, there's a psychic night at the Forest Glade Football Club in Billericay. On the 23rd of the 3rd, DI Paranormal UK are going to Morecambe Winter Gardens in Morecambe. Also on the 23rd, Spirit Watch Ghost Hunting Experience are off to Pendle Hill in Sabden.
So check out the one-stop paranormal directory for more investigations and events available now. Paranormaleventsforyou.com also offers banner advertising for only £10 per year. See our website for more details. Paranormaleventsforyou.com, your one-stop paranormal directory. Are you all right there, Derek?
Hello.
Hiya. Right, well, this is the last segment of your piece, so
Okay.
Obviously I don't really want to ruin your voice for tomorrow.
Okay.
So a few more questions, if that's okay.
Yes.
Okay. Right, well, I was talking to your lovely wife this morning, or this afternoon, and we were saying about the questions that we were going to talk to you about. Now, I'd like to take you to when you're on stage and your persona. Now, you're very theatrical on stage, and for what of a better word, and because of this, some feel that maybe this is why it looks as though you're faking it a bit, yeah? Now, that's what I've heard, okay? Even though I do stick up for you and say, well, look, at the end of the day, you're not just telling that person something, you've got to cater for the rest of them as well.
Yeah.
So, basically, what do you say to this? If you know,
I know what to say to it very clearly.
Yeah.
For too many years, okay, mediumship has been under a cloak of what we call mystery. And the old mediums, and they won't mind me saying this, my grandmother was an old medium. My grandmother didn't work like me. She didn't do theatres.
No.
They were used to being in little parlours in the houses, or they go into little churches and they'd speak and they'd look rather mysterious, and they wouldn't allow people to talk to them before they started doing the work. And so it clouded them in mystery. What I was told by Sam many years ago, I had to take it from that to be more personable with people, to be relating to people, and to have a sense of humour. Still delivering the truth, but not being morbid. And, okay, if that's the way it's followed me, yeah, I do have laughter at my shows. And some mediums don't at all. And some mediums are boring when they stand there and delivering their messages. Derek Acorah does not do that.
Well, it's the energy as well, isn't it? Really?
Pardon?
There's energy as well with it.
Yeah, well, the spirit people give you the energy. And I bounce about the stage. I'm the only medium in this day, and I've been for a couple of years, where I go direct to people. I don't wait for them to put their hands up or say, hey, I think that's me. I go to them I jump off the stage.
Yeah. Well, a quote from Gwen today about your performances, when I did mention it to her on stage and TV, she said, what you see is what you get, basically.
Yeah.
And if he isn't working on stage and maybe was behind a bar or even a bricklayer, Derek is Derek, and he will still be his flamboyant self.
Exactly. I can't change what God's made me.
No, this is it. It's you, isn't it? It's your persona.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's the way you are.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there a time when you're on stage and nothing comes through to you? What do you do?
Of course there is. Like all me, of course there is. But what I do is I speak to Sam rather anxiously.
Yeah.
And I'll say, I don't think there's a medium that talks to his main guide as much as me on the stage, like any other medium at all. And, you know, when I get those times, I'll say to Sam, I start to panic. I say, Sam, there's no one here. What do I do? And then I start to work like a lot of mediums do on the psychic level. So I'll be told by Sam to go to a person in the audience, and he'll tell me things about their lives. So I'll do that. Then the moment a spirit person's ready, then you see me cheerful going, oh, this is better, bang. I've got so-and-so here with me. And that's what I do.
Yeah.
But there's never a dull moment.
No. Well, as you know, if you can remember, I know you don't remember faces, but we were with you at the MV in Liverpool recently when Andy Dev did that one with an intimate gathering with you. And someone, I don't know if you remember, somebody at the end when you was when they were asking questions, literally asked you outright if you were faking it, but due to the fact that her dad would come through for her no matter what if you wasn't. Now, obviously, not everybody comes through, do they?
No, they don't. And no medium has got a say on who's going to come through.
No.
So, basically, I mean, that sort of thing does happen periodically. And it's because of the person who's feeling so like the good lady, okay?
Yeah.
And all I can offer, or any medium can offer, is say, look, it's not happened at the moment. It could be that your dad, whoever, was in the queuing system, but didn't get through in the time. But, you know, bear with it. Keep coming to things like this, and he will get through. I'm sure I said that.
Yes, I think you did, actually. Words to that effect. But as I say, how do you feel about these people who say this sort of thing and the bad feedback you have had in the press in the past?
I don't care one iota these days.
Good.
It will not stop me working for Spirit.
That's good.
It is my life, it's my vocation, and I will do it until I finish my work. And you know what, I was told not so long back that there's no, like, I did a private reading for a couple today, lovely couple, travelled all the way from Kent, and the man had had all kinds of things wrong with him. I brought them out. He had cancer of the bowel, then he got a cancer lumps in his chest, and he went through operations. And I said, you know something? I said, through all your upheaval and what have you, you're going to live a long life. And he went, oh my God, a hairstyle. And I said, that's a fact. And I'm talking away to this lovely couple, and I'm thinking about, you know, back to different things that had happened in my life. And I, for one, this one human being, Derek Acorah, doesn't take anything for granted.
No.
I take every moment and every day in my life. I've got the loveliest wife in the world who cares for me, protects me, loves me, and I'm a very, very lucky man. I'm a good father, I think. My sons and my daughter love me. My grandson, my granddaughters love me. My friends like me. So you know what? I couldn't care less about those things out there that make statements about they don't know me, Derek Acorah.
No, this is it. One question that did come in was, sometimes do you feel you are a victim of your own success? For example, being linked to Most Haunted.
Everyone is.
You know, and have the negativity from affecting your reputation.
Well, look, how long is it since I've been away from Most Haunted? The only reason why I'm still being linked with Most Haunted is because different networks have bought it. Big TV, Sky, and they're replaying all, because it was a long series, so it's still keeping on going. It's keeping on going. But what I say to the new people who are viewing, who absolutely love it, and they come to my shows, it's showing in my shows, you know, they're selling out. They're the new people who are watching. They don't know anything about Yvette Fielding and Carl Beattie. They don't know anything about what went on. And I'm not prepared to talk to them about it.
No, this is
because they're not ready to ask.
Yeah. Right, we have one question on the chat room. We have a question on the chat room. Does Derek believe in the standard Christian idea of heaven and hell?
Well, yes. Heaven is the spiritual world. Hell is a mixture of going from the earth plane of the evil, the lies, the cheating, what physical mind can take on in the travelling to the lowest parts of the world of spirit. In the lowest parts of the world of spirit, there are so many dimensions that the lowest dimension is a hell state caused by God, not such a thing or a being called the devil.
Yeah.
So we have the light and the dark.
Right.
So in the realm of light, we have the dark as well, which is separate from the earth plane. And in the basis of the dark are the people who've lived a physical life, no matter how long it was, where they've hurt other souls, and they go right there.
Yeah.
Now, they stay there until they cry out for, you know, absolute, I'm sorry. And then they slowly progress, eventually go into the light. The ones who've lived normal lives, you don't have to be religious. It's like using it as an example. A lovely lady who's not had much money, and a husband who works hard. They come home, they bring their children through, and they've had feelings over the years that they would love this, they'd love that, they never got it, and what have you. When they go to the world of spirit, they've earned the right to be in the glory and the brightness of God.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
As a medium, would you like to have worked with somebody like Doris Stokes?
Oh, yes. She was I could tell you tales about Doris Stokes. Doris Stokes, I remember, and I got interested in Doris Stokes many years while I was playing football, after Gran's influence, and when I started reading the books.
Right.
I thought, wow, after what Gran had did and stuff like that in a lesser degree, Doris was one of the first to take it really out there, not just national, but all over the world. And poor Doris, unfortunately, because she wasn't used to money, like me, she wasn't used to the worldly things and what have you. The people who could see her, like agents and stuff, could see her potential. Yeah. They took her to many places. She made a lot of money, but Doris didn't make a lot of money because these people took the money from her, and she didn't even know it. She was a darling. She was a true medium. She was a mentor. She was very, very special.
I think Neil said his gran worked under her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Neil.
She was a very special medium.
Yeah.
She's very close to my heart. And often when I go and work a theatre outside London, in Catford, okay, that's where her favourite theatre was. Every time I pay her respects, I say, Doris, I'm in your place. Please, if you're here, let it be happy. Let it be good.
Your gran, you were saying?
Yeah, they were very good friends.
Yeah.
In them days. I remember Doris Stokes coming to the house a couple of times. Although at that time I didn't know who she was because I was very, very young. But
there's been some great mediums on this earth over the years. Yeah, Doris Stokes is way up there.
Yeah, I bet. When it comes to mediumship, do you think there should be, if there isn't, an ethical code, or is there already one?
Well, there is an ethical code.
Yeah.
But it doesn't appear that
a lot use it.
Yeah, a lot use it.
Yeah,
there are some that do. I certainly do.
Right. Okay.
I don't mind saying this. I'm one of probably the funniest mediums in the world today.
I'll agree with that.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm one of the most joyful, funniest, who seems to enjoy his work over those 2 hours more than any medium in the world. But where ethics is concerned, I would say yes, there are mediums that use ethics. Colin Fry, Tony Stockwell, myself, naturally, and different mediums I know in different parts of the world. James Van Prague uses ethics.
John Edwards.
John Edwards, yes. But I'd say there's probably, in my count, less than 10.
Yeah.
Still count on my 2 fingers.
Right. Okay. Now, I need to take your turn to a dark side, I'm afraid, and I'm hoping that you'll give me the right answer. Okay.
If I don't, I don't.
I think you will. Yeah, but I'm hoping it doesn't. I don't offend you in any way. There was a time recently, or a while back, when a certain newspaper said that you.
Oh, Madeleine McCann.
I wasn't going to mention her name.
God, you're going to bring you brought everything up that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I believe, as I say, well, I didn't know whether to mention it or not, but I believe that this was something you were caught out on. Yeah,
what it was, before the article come into the paper, I think it was the Sun paper.
Yeah.
A year and a quarter before, I was in Ireland doing a tour of Ireland.
Yeah.
And I went into all the major television stations and television stations because I was interviewed by them all. And I happened to be interviewed on the telephone at my hotel because I was doing something like 9 shows out there, going from Belfast, Northern Ireland down to South. And this one day, this man came on, my agent said, he said, he just wants to ask you about your tour and what people are expecting to see you doing, as opposed to Most Haunted. So, come on, very nice, and he said to me, then then he started talking about Madeline McCann, the child. Why? Because I was from Liverpool. Why hadn't I immediately went to help them? And I told the man very honestly, this was a reporter, not a journalist. There's a difference, by the way, between a journalist and a reporter. And I told this reporter, the reason being was, yes, it did touch my heart. It did affect me personally. But what I did is I got all kinds of emails from Portugal at that time, from mediums. There was 4 of them out there at the time. And one of them who had trusted a lady, I'm not going to name her name, she said, Derek, it's no, you say you're flying out tomorrow. Yeah, I'm coming out. It's no use you coming out, Derek. She said, because we've all come to the same conclusion that the little one's gone.
Yeah.
She's gone over.
Yeah.
I said, oh no. Are you sure? And she said, yes. Now I trust the lady I know on mediumship.
Yeah.
So I didn't go. So then we get this reporter who comes on, right, and asks, and I said, look, the reason I haven't gone over is because, unfortunately, as sad as I really am for the parents and what have you, she's not at this earth anymore. And he said, really? And I said, yes. Well, can you tell me where she is? And I said, I can't. Then I said something else. That was a year and a quarter.
Yeah.
A year and a quarter on this reporter. Again, I'm going out to Ireland.
Yeah.
Comes on the phone. Told my agent he just wants to speak about what I'm going to do on the tour. Then he said to me, incidentally, he said, Madeline McCann, because at that time there was something coming in the papers about the child and the mum and dad.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not prepared to talk about that. I've already done that. And I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, the next thing is he goes and checks out this thing I did a year and a quarter ago.
Yeah.
Makes out he did the interview and asked me those questions. Let me tell everyone listening.
Yeah.
When my lawyers got in touch with them, my agent said, you've got to get your lawyer on this. He got in touch with the son in Ireland. He was sacked within 3 days. Because, it was lies.
Yeah.
And we did get a retraction, but it was very small little letters.
Yeah.
In the Sun Irish paper.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for that. Well, just a couple more questions before we let you go, obviously. First of all, John Savage from Minnesota, he's just finished work, and he said, Derek, thank you for your time tonight, and from all of us in Minnesota, we love you, and blessings to you and Gwen. Okay.
Ah, that's lovely.
That was John, as I say, because of you, they're together. Okay.
Well, tell John in Minnesota that we're going to be in his neck of the woods in August.
Okay.
Because I'm going to be doing a big show just outside Minnesota.
Okay.
So I hope he gets that. You tell him that.
Yeah, I will do. I'm always talking to him on Facebook anyway. Right, so just before you go, you mentioned earlier about a book.
His missus is still on, she said whereabouts.
Oh, right. Sorry. His missus is still on. She said whereabouts. Oh. She said whereabouts.
Whereabouts what?
Where will you be? Would it be in Minnesota?
No, it's going to be in, well, how far is Minnesota from New England?
New England, I'm not sure, but at least, is that where you're going to be?
Well, I'm going to be initially in Boston, and then I'm going to be moving about, I believe.
Right.
But I'm sure Minnesota was talked about.
Right. They said keep me posted. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll get to know more close to August.
Okay. Now you mentioned about your book that are coming out later on in the year. Can you for those that have joined us since you mentioned that, can you just let us know when your autobiography is coming out?
Well, I'm hoping to see the publishers have been on my back for a little while. They wanted to actually bring it out around this time. Yeah. But I've been not lazy. I've been on the road.
This is it.
I've been on the go all the time, and I
can't get a chance, do you?
I can't concentrate. If I'm doing 9 shows on the trot, 9 days in different parts, traveling and what have you, your mind is just, you can't do it. But anyway, I've got 2/3 of it done. All I can say about this book is, along the way, it tells a story of my life.
Yeah.
And it's nice kindred times and this, that, and the other. Then it comes into certain things that a lot of people don't know about me, that I've never spoken about. What's happened to me, what's happened to my family.
Yeah.
But then we come into the era of 5.5 years of linking with two tyrants, with Most Haunted.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I've got to always use that word, my legal people said.
Yeah. So, but just one thing about Most Haunted. Chris was asking, do you get fed up with being asked about it?
No.
No, you don't.
Absolutely not, because, like I said to you at the beginning, I loved Most Haunted.
Yeah.
You know, you see, I loved it that much that had I been the producers of it, like Carl Beeson and Rat Fielding, it had never gone the way it went.
No.
As I saw it growing, as I saw the main characters in it, I would have enthused, I would have paid them more money, I would have to keep it going in the fresh way it was. But as it was, and incidentally, can I tell everyone of your listeners, I got paid, everyone thought I was a millionaire and what.
Yeah.
I'll tell everyone, very openly, very honestly, I got paid £900 a show. Seems a lot, does it? Those shows could have taken post-date show, 2.5 days and what have you. But, you know, when you think about it, what those people made, they made millions.
I bet they did, yeah.
Yeah, £900 a show.
So what actually spurs you on today then to continue your work, and do you have any ambitions to go further with your abilities?
Of course. What spurs me on is spirit. It's quite simple as that. I trust them. I believe in them. It's my life. My wife knows that. She's willing to go along with it and what have you. What have I got in the future? I leave it to spirit. I know they will produce things for me to step into and do my work. Yeah. I don't calculate things. I don't go to bed thinking, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I just let it happen naturally.
Right, okay. And as I say, we've been great having you on. Everybody's enjoyed it. One young lady said that you are an inspiration to all mediums, and she would like to thank you from the bottom. From the whole of her heart, sending love and light to you, Gwen, and the Wolfie dog.
Lovely.
Okay, so obviously you've come a long way, Derek. You've risen above it, and obviously you've bided your time to do what you have to do. Yeah. And and you're still there. You're still up there with the best of them. And I believe I saw one quote that you're the foremost medium of the UK. And
you see, that's very lovely of people, but I don't look upon me that way.
No,
I look upon all mediums as being this. If they're working for spirit, we're all at the same level.
Yeah.
Okay? And if one seems to be out there in the front, well, you know what? There's got to be someone that's out there in the front to make sure that the others who are walking the pathway are going to have the assurity to do exactly the same.
Well, it's been great speaking to you. One thing I did get a question to ask you is, would you ever work with the paranormal groups that are out there?
Well, I've been asked by thousands across the world.
Yeah.
I mean, across the world, not just here in England, America, Germany, everywhere. I've worked with them in Australia and New Zealand, which was a nice experience over 6 weeks when I did a tour down there. Yes, of course I would. Yes, I would. However, because of and it's not an excuse, because of the severity, if that's the right word, of how busy I am, because I'm more busy now than what I was when I was on Most Haunted.
Yeah.
You know, I'm getting called to go to every place. I'm going out to many, many places of the world now.
Yeah.
You know, and they're asking me to do this and asking me to do that. And Paul Gren has to do all the organising with my agent. They're up the wall. But if you ask me about your paranormal group, of course I will.
Well, we're UK Shadow Seekers. You may have heard of us.
Yes.
But as I say, and Anita Savage over in Minnesota, she said, you're more than welcome to come and work with them anytime. So,
well, that's very nice of Anita.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, one thing I will mention to you, over the weeks preceding to tonight, we've had a couple of people, not a lot, a couple of people that have been very staunch in their opinion about you because of all the hype.
Right.
Yeah. Now, one of the people in particular has actually put on just now, my opinion has definitely changed. So if we can do that with just a few people tonight, I'm hoping that we'll do even more of that when it goes out on YouTube.
Oh, bless you.
You know. So, but again, thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure.
It's been a pleasure for us. It's been a privilege to speak to you, and we wish you and your good lady Gwen good luck and best wishes.
Well, she's part of the team with Sam.
Oh, she
is, you know.
She definitely is. She's got a fight on her hands there.
Yeah. You know, she slaps my hands if I go wrong.
Oh, I bet she does.
Oh, you believe it. They always were saying what my gran said before she passed the world of spirit. I must leave you with this, okay?
Yeah.
Man is just the sheer power. Womenfolk are the wisdom.
Okay. Well, thank
Wisdom
you.
will always win out over power.
Yeah, so true. Well, Degsy, I hope we meet again in Liverpool sometime.
I hope so, matey. And you keep on with your work. You're progressing well, and I can see you really doing great work and helping people, okay?
Thanks very much for that. Cheers.
I believe you're going to Norwich. My sister, Vicky, she just wants to know, thank you for that little bit that you did for us when we was at the MB. She just says, why are you doing the smaller theatre this time?
Well, the reason being the smaller theatres is because something happened. It was Sally Morgan.
Yeah.
The great lady Sally Morgan. Suddenly she come onto the scene, okay? That's acceptable, that's fine. And because she had a television show on, she was clustering the theatre, the big theatres. But we did the big theatres for over 8 years.
Yeah.
With, you know, when I was doing Most Haunted Ghost Sounds, filling the places out. So we had to move down. However, that doesn't matter to me. I've suddenly found, like I said to Gwen, these more intimate theatres of 300, 500, 600, whatever you, are much better because we can only go to so many people in a night.
Well, this is it.
So I'm staying with those now, like Colin Fry is.
Well, you take care. Would you like to say goodnight to everyone in the chat room for listening?
Good night, everyone in the chat room. Love you. Please keep watching in. Everything I've told you tonight is the God's truth.
Well, I'm sure they know that now. Well, thank you very much. And as I said, I wish you all the best in the future. And don't be a stranger.
I won't.
All right. Well, thanks very much. Good night and God bless.
Okay. Good night and God bless. I love you.
Love you back.
Bye, Derek.
Bye, Derek.
Wow. That was a good interview, wasn't it?
There was a lot there, yeah.
I'm glad we didn't go on any further. My battery's running out.
I'm actually glad that they stopped asking questions in the chat room because I had a page and a half like that.
I managed to get most of them done, but as I say, I was asking them actually in the actual in the questions that I had down for everything. And the only one I didn't really ask out of all of them was about him doing pets, to be honest with you. And that sounds a bit weird, but I was talking to Gwen earlier, and he wasn't reading animals. He was actually reading he was reading from spirit to the owners of the animals. So that's what that was about. Anyway, but he's a really nice guy, and I'm glad. I didn't want to mention your name, Andy, but I think you've had a change of heart, haven't you? But if you want to give me a ring and tell me your opinion about tonight's show, you're more than welcome to do that. And as I say, because obviously I'm sure he's going to listen in sometime to this, and maybe he'll hear your responses and see what you think. You can give us a call on 0844 414 3982, or you can contact us on the KTPF Paranormal Show. That's KTPF.Paranormal Show on Skype. So just give us a call. Okay. So what did you think, Neil? That was a good interview, wasn't it?
You know, I've always had respect for Derek, as you know.
Yeah.
I know I've said that from day one. You know, I know the guy on almost a personal level. Mm-hmm. I've always followed his work. I've always followed his history.
Yeah.
You know, and I've always said from day one, you know, what he says is the truth.
Yeah, and he was very. He wasn't really that candid with some of the couple of the items I mentioned.
Well, he was open.
He was open,
and that's the main thing. That he was open about it.
And you've heard it here. He's going to be doing. He's through an autobiography, so I think he should be.
Good on the man. Good on the man. That's what I say.
Yeah.
So,
Joe actually said he actually preferred tonight's show to the Mr. Hanson.
Well, that says something. I tried to keep him on as long as possible, but as I say, he did have a bit of a sore throat. Andy707 says, I'm very impressed that you managed to get him on the show. You and me both.
But
to be honest with you.
it's like everything else. If you ask, a lot of these people will actually say, I'll come and talk to you.
You don't get unless you ask, do you?
So as I say, we're here on Skype for a little bit longer. If you want to give us a call, and we're more than welcome to talk to you and see what you thought of tonight's show. If you want to give us a call, as I say, Skype us. We're here. Tell us what you thought. Don't tell me in the chat room. Come on, don't be shy. Give us a call. And Anita, she liked the show. So as I say, it's he's coming over to a place near you. So perhaps you was right what you were saying earlier. No, we don't want it on there. Great show tonight. Thanks to you all, Charlac. By the way, we have new Pope. Yeah, we know. Great show. Vicky can cool down now.
Yeah, he's up there. Stuff the Pope. Who wants to know about the Pope?
No. Pope off, says Helen.
And for those of you that do, it's Pope Francis the First.
But as I say, it's.
What can I say?
He's a nice guy, and the times I've met him, and I've always said, I'll be honest with you, I get people saying to me about his flamboyancy going everywhere.
I think the first thing the Pope's going to say when he stands up tomorrow is, can't beat a bit of bully on a Sunday, can you?
But no, seriously, when you think about Derek Acorah, you think about all the flamboyancy and the fact that he's what you think he's prancing around on stage and this, that, and the other, but there's 200 odd people, sometimes thousands. And if he's talking to one person and giving them a message, all the rest are going to be bored if he's not putting on a bit of a, But like I said, Gwen said to me this afternoon, even if he was a bricklayer or even behind the bar working, in a pub, it'd still have that flamboyancy. It's just Derek.
Unfortunately, I don't think Anita's going to get to see him. It's a 2-day drive for them.
Is it? Well, they did say that we will make it, but as I say, they're all over the place. So but yeah.
It's just saying about the showmanship there.
Yeah, that puts them off. Well, this is it.
You've got to keep the audience. And it's like you've just said there. If you're talking to one person, the rest are, they do distract because they become bored. They don't want to listen about somebody else's complaints or health problems. So you have to put a certain amount of showmanship to keep everybody either amused or interested or whatever. While you're doing that one person.
Yeah, and he wasn't holding back. We spoke about the most haunted sign, and I was quite surprised he told us as much as he did, but I was pleased about it because it gives him his side of the story, like Joe said.
Because we was told that there is still a gagging ordering process.
Yes,
on part of it.
On part of it, there is still a gagging ordering process, but and like Andy said, it was good to hear his side. But I enjoyed that tonight, and I'm quite pleased that I managed to get him on the show, and obviously you lot are, and you really enjoyed it. But he always promised to come on, and didn't he, Steve?
He did.
When he got the time, and obviously
he kept his word. When we initially asked him, he'd just finished his tour, and he was going on holiday.
Yeah, so, this is it. And I'm hoping his voice gets a lot better before tomorrow night because he's on tour again tomorrow. So, you know what it's like when you get sore throat, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Well, he was doing 2 tours in once at one point there, because he was doing the science with Richard, and I think they're doing that again this year. And that was Richard. And he was also doing his own stage work as well.
Well, this is it. Yeah.
It is tiring work. It's very, very tiring work. I mean, if you're doing it day after day after day, like you said, he's had 9 shows in a run. But it does take her out of you.
I mean, he's 60 now, isn't he, Derek?
Oh, don't know.
He's somewhere around there. And I mean, that's a lot of shows to do at that age. Mm.
So, but if you want to go and have a look at his website, it's basically just Acorah. DerekAcorah.com. And you can go and have a look there. You've got these tours, these blogs, and about him. There's a shop there and stuff. Doesn't actually say anything about what's this? There's quite a bit about him there anyway, and I don't know whether it's is it on Wikipedia?
Yeah, they're asking when the vet's coming on.
Well, I have actually contacted her.
You have asked,
but whether she'll contact me is another matter.
Yeah, nothing's coming back, is it?
He was born in 1950 on the 27th of January. There you go. That's what Wikipedia says anyway. Derek Francis Johnson. Okay, so
that makes him 63.
63, and still going strong, and still doing what he's got to do. So
and still bouncing on and off that bleeding stage. So we saw him at the Envy. He was jumping up and down off that stage.
Oh yeah.
And running around the room.
You know, to go and talk to that person that he was giving it to. So you know, already said that. Yeah. But as I say,
no, I wasn't laughing at the Derek bit. It's just that what Ghostwriter had to come up put it on here. He said, "Don't let a vet see your hair; she'll copy it."
Oh right, I see.
The story behind that is, at one point, every time Sue changed her hairstyle, so did the vet.
Every time I put the TV on, she got the same hairstyle as me. So the only time she didn't is when she went blonde. So it was a bit of an in-family joke, that one. But yeah. As I say, it was interesting. I enjoyed it, and I'm glad you did. You know,
and who have we got next week?
Next week, well,
coming soon.
Call now.
No, they've done that one. They didn't want to call.
Yeah, they do want to call now.
Hang on a minute, let me find it.
There you go.
Coming soon.
Right, next week, we have Madeline Richardson on the show via Skype. I think these are both via Skype, actually. Anyone heard of Madeline Richardson? You would have heard of her sister, who was on the show a few months back, called Jackie Newcomb. Do you remember Jackie Newcomb, our angel lady? Well, this is her sister, okay? And Madeline's, hopefully, if Madeline's not too busy, she's going to come on talking about chakras and auras, okay? So that's next week. And then after that, we've got a young lady coming on again via Skype. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. Let me see if I can find out where she's actually from. But her name's Carla Willis Brandon. And she's going to come on. This lady, she's going to be talking about spirit as well. She's written 13 books. And 3 of them are actually on departing visions of the parting deceased, if that's about right. Not seeing where she's actually from, to be honest with you. She's from somewhere. But yeah, she's going to be talking about the visions that people see when they are being taken from this world to the next. So that could be quite interesting. As I say, it's I'm not quite seeing where she's come from at the moment. But yeah, is she from Earth? Yes, she's from Earth. Of course she's from Earth. Let me just see. Oh, hold on, what's this? Let's see what I've got here. Carla has been married to clinical psychologist Michael Brandon for over 35 years, and the couple have 2 sons. They live on the Gulf of Mexico in a 100-year-old house and outside Asheville, Carolina, up in the mountains, North Carolina. Carla and Michael have been in private practice for over 25 years. And yeah, she's got quite a few books. She's going to be, her talking points will be physical death is not the end, but we are a social society. We are a society, as a society, are ill prepared. The dying are having departing visions, and so are many of us. Departing visions have been reported for centuries. These experiences have been and continued to be researched. Resolving death and dying issues teaches us how to live. So that's what that's all about next week. So it should be interesting. Chakras and auras, Neil. What do you think to them?
What do I think of them?
Yeah.
Well, they exist.
Apart from that.
Okay, what do you feel about chakras?
Well, chakras are it's very important in our work.
Oh yeah,
obviously. But a lot of people are under the aspect that we've only got 7 of them, which is untrue. We've got actually absolutely millions of chakras networked all over the body.
Yeah, we only
some
know
small,
about
some large.
7, but
the main ones are the 7.
Yeah.
They're the main ones, but we have a root system all over the body, and they're all energy points. It's so and we've all got an aura, obviously.
Yes.
You've got to have an aura. If you haven't got an aura, you're dead.
Yeah. What happens if it's grey?
What happens if it's
grey? You're real.
Miserable.
It's
It's like the weather, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose so. So, will you be possibly joining us next week for that one?
Possibly.
So, but yeah. So there you have it. That's what we've got next week. So, what do you think to that? So, I'm actually looking forward to it. And as I say, I've been enjoying tonight. Have you enjoyed tonight?
It's been a good night. I'm glad our Degsy come on. He's a good lad.
Yeah.
And he's got his points across. And even if he's just changed one mind, that's good enough.
Yeah, I mean, one a day. That's all it takes, isn't it?
It is. Baby steps.
Yep.
Baby steps.
He got that one in there, didn't he? He got his favourite saying in there, didn't he? Baby steps. Baby steps.
So,
Lots of little changes make a big change.
Will you be with us next week? Will you join us next week?
You're in the right place. Online, on the web, and on air. All over the world.
Yeah, here on the KTPF Community Talk Show next week.
What's with the American accent coming over anyway?
I don't
Where's
know.
that coming from?
I don't know.
Are you channeling some American person?
I don't know.
I don't know, but if you keep saying that, she'll get Liverpudlian on you. She'll get scouse on you.
I don't know.
She will.
Nobody wanted to ring up and give their opinion. It was all over the chat room, and I submit they've all enjoyed the show, and people have changed their opinion. Some people have changed their opinion about Derek Acorah, which is good. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, then just hopefully you might have a little bit of a different perspective about the man that he is, because at the end of the day, that's all he is a man.
Yeah,
a good medium.
And sorry about that, Andy. I'll if I get a chance, I'll make it a bit quieter for you. Nearly blew his ears off because he's on headphones.
All right, okay. So, but yeah, as I say, it would be good if there is a lot more different perspective out there. So,
I mean, I like this information about channeling, and it's good to get somebody else's perspective on channeling. He has the same perspective as me on that. Because a lot of people out there don't understand it. A lot of people don't believe it because they don't understand it. So it's good information to get across to people.
Yeah. So, well, I'm afraid that's probably.
There you go.
Well,
Chris said we should play Devil's Advocate and play Derek's answers to us. He said that will get her on.
Oh dear me, well, you never know.
But it's not keeping the paranormal very
it's not
friendly.
keeping it friendly, is it? But as I say, at the end of the day,
having said that, she's quite welcome to come on and give their side.
Yeah.
So at least everybody gets 2 sides of the story.
We personally heard their side, but it's good to hear the other side. But until next week, again, we'd like to thank Derek Acorah for coming on the show. We'd like to thank Neil Munnerley for joining us.
We're finishing a bit early tonight, aren't we?
Yeah, I know.
We're having an early night or something.
We're having an early night because, to be honest with you,
we're actually finishing at the time we were supposed to finish in the first place.
Yeah, and I had a bit of a stress bit happening earlier on.
A stress night. Need a coffee.
I need a coffee, and I have to finish, I'm afraid. I'm expecting a phone call from the RBL.
And John says you've got to eat as well, but you've had nothing to eat yet.
I've not eaten yet, so something happened before we started. And but until next time, until now,
keep the paranormal friendly, guys.
Keep the paranormal friendly. Good night and God bless. Thank you.
Good idea, guys.
Keep safe, and we'll see you all next week.